My beloved, there is a quiet struggle deep within you, a silent war between the desires of your heart and the divine path I've set before you. You may not have spoken of it, but I have seen it in your eyes when no one was watching. There is a tension in your soul between what you think will make you whole and what I know will save your life. You keep pulling in one direction, convinced it will lead to peace, while I am gently guiding you toward a higher purpose that surpasses your understanding. You ask me to bless your plans, but I am calling you to surrender them. You ask for my presence in the direction you chose, but I am waiting for you to ask me for my will instead. Your will is strong, but my love is stronger, and where your will ends, my mercy begins. You were never meant to carry this alone. We're not created to chase shadows and build castles out of fear. Your purpose was not born in haste, but carved in eternity. This is not me withholding good from you. This is me protecting you from becoming someone you were never meant to be. If only you could see what I see, the road that looks like gain but leads to emptiness, and the road that looks like surrender but leads to joy. I have watched you wrestle, in prayer, speaking my name through clenched teeth, trying to convince yourself that I am still with you as you go in the direction of your own design. But beloved, my presence never follows disobedience. It waits, it calls, it draws. And still, I do not shame you. I do not turn my face from you. But I will not compete with your idols. I will not bless what I did not send. You've mistaken delay for denial. You've assumed my silence means agreement. But I have been quiet because I'm letting you come to the end of yourself, so that you will find me again where you left me last. I know how much you want to control. I know how afraid you are to let go, but faith was never meant to be built on comfort. Faith is refined where surrender meets trust. You've been asking for signs, but ignoring my whispers. You've been searching for affirmation, but disregarding my instruction. What you call unanswered prayer is often just unyielded will. I did not promise ease, I promised my presence. I did not promise that your plans would succeed. I promised that my purpose would. And yes, there will be seasons when my way feels like loss, when obedience looks like weakness, when surrender feels like defeat. But in those places, you are not losing, you are being transformed. Your will was shaped by your wounds, but my purpose was shaped by my love. And love does not always say yes. Sometimes, love says, wait, not this, not now, not them. And sometimes, love takes away what you were never meant to hold. I am not punishing you, I am pruning you, so that what I plant in you will bear fruit in its season. You keep asking me, why did you take this from me? But I am asking you, why did you settle for so little when I've called you to so much more? I am not here to destroy your dreams, but to resurrect the ones that align with my heart. Because some of the things you've been chasing were never born from faith, but from fear of being forgotten. You've asked me to move, but you haven't moved from your pride. You've cried for peace, but haven't laid down your rebellion. I cannot fill hands that are already full. Let me break what is binding you. Let me strip what is hiding you. Let me silence the voices that are lying to you, because your will is loud. But my purpose is eternal. You're tired because you've been running in circles, asking me to bless a road I never asked you to walk. But if you stop, if you yield, you'll hear me again. I have not changed. I have not moved. I am the same God who called you, even when you were unaware, and I still want you. Not the version of you that the world shaped, not the version of you that compromise molded, but the one I designed, before time breathed its first. This battle within you is not your enemy. It's the shaking of your soul, awakening to the realization that you were made for more than your will can imagine. Come to me again, not with demands, but with surrender, not with bargaining, but with trust, not with fear, but with reverence. Does not change based on your preference, but I will wait as long as it takes for you to lay your will down so I can raise up the life I always intended for. You too live. Faith, real faith, does not resist the fire, it walks through it with me. Faith does not mean certainty in outcomes, but confidence in my goodness no matter the outcome. Let me rewire what you believe about faith. It is not wishful thinking, it is not an emotional high, it is rooted in who I am, and I am unchanging, ever present, always sovereign. When your will clashes with mine, remember this, it is not because I seek control, but because I offer covering. You are not safer in your own plans, you are safer in my presence, so pause. Not everything good is from me, not every open door is blessed, not every opportunity is divine. Discernment begins where your will ends and my voice is honored. Do not confuse delay with denial. Do not confuse silence with absence. I am still working, but first I am working in you. You've been asking for a breakthrough, but the breakthrough begins when you yield. You've been praying for release, but freedom comes after surrender. You are never meant to live in the tension forever. This battle is not eternal, but the choice is yours. The more you resist me, the longer you prolong the pain. But the moment you return, even if you come limping, I will meet you with arms wide open, because even when your will fought me, my love never let go. Even when you wandered, my eyes never looked away. Even when you closed your ears, I never stopped speaking. Come, let me show you that what you tried to build without me cannot compare to what I can restore in surrender. I know it's not easy, but obedience rarely is. I know it hurts to let go, but trust me, nothing you release to me will ever be wasted. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. You are not losing control, you are gaining alignment. And when your will finally bows before my throne, you will find the peace that striving could never give you. Do not fear the end of your plans. Fear a life lived outside of my purpose, because that is where true loss lives, not in what is taken, but in what is never surrendered. So here I am again, waiting for you. Not to shame you, but to guide you. Not to condemn, but to cleanse. Not to overpower, but to invite. Will you choose me over the comfort of your control? Will you follow me even when it doesn't make sense? Will you trust me more than your feelings? Because I have so much more to give you on the other side of your surrender. But first, you must let go. Beloved, now that you have begun to loosen your grip, let me take you deeper into the quiet place where your spirit is no longer ruled by impulse, but shaped by presence. Formation begins in surrender, not just once, but daily, in the sacred tension between what you want and what I ask. You say you trust me, but formation tests that trust not with easy affirmations, but with refining fire. You say, use me, but shy away when pruning begins. You say, speak to me, but silence becomes unbearable when it doesn't echo your desires. True formation is not about how much you feel, but how deeply you obey even when your emotions resist. Obedience is not passive, it is fierce, it is radical. It is a defiant yes in the face of every part of you that screams no. This is not cruelty, this is transformation. Because I cannot pour new wine into the vessel of your old will. You were not born for shallow faith. You were not made to stay in the shallows, living only off the sweetness of what feels good. I am calling you into the deep where waves test your foundation, and storms teach you the sound of my whisper above the chaos. Maturity in me is not born through answers, but through abiding. It is in the silence, when your will is quieted, that your roots begin to grow. You ask, what do I need to do? But I ask, who are you willing to become? Because formation is not a task to complete, it is a yielding to my hands, again and again, until my image is restored in you. I am not after your talent, I am after your character. I am not impressed by how much you do for me, but how much you let me do in you. You are being formed not just to stand before people, but to kneel before me in reverence, in repentance, in rest. And that formation, it hurts. Yes, it hurts. Because it cuts through the noise of pride, the comfort of complacency, the illusions of control. But what I break, I heal. What I remove, I restore. And what I refine, I redeem. Beloved, there is a deeper death I'm inviting you into, not a death of hope, but a death of self-will so that true life may begin. You cannot carry resurrection until you've laid your own strength down in the grave. You cannot wear the crown of purpose until you've surrendered the throne of ego. My son showed the way, not through domination, but through surrender, not by force, but by yielding to me even when it meant the cross. And in that obedience, death was defeated. This is the contrast. Your will seeks escape. My will leads through endurance. Your will seeks comfort. My will creates strength through discipline. Your will wants to be seen. My will teaches you to be hidden until the time is right. You keep asking for resurrection, but first comes the tomb, not because I want to bury you, but because I want to bury what's been destroying you. Bitterness, control, fear, people-pleasing, pride disguised as independence, false humility, masking, ambition. They cannot enter into what I've prepared. For you, you say, I'm ready. But I see the parts of you still clinging to what I've asked you to let go. I am patient, but I am also precise. If you want to walk in my power, you must first be emptied of your own, because radical obedience does not negotiate with comfort. I am not interested in partial obedience. That is not obedience, it is delay. And delay often becomes disobedience in disguise. So let me dismantle every altar you built to your own understanding. Let me tear down every structure held together by fear, not faith. I want to build something new, but I cannot build upon the ruins of self-reliance and shallow surrender. Let me cleanse the foundation. Let me heal the motives, because once the breaking is complete, the beauty of the rebuild will astound you. You will no longer recognize yourself, And that is not loss, that is rebirth. This is not about perfection. This is about posture. A heart bowed before me will rise again with glory not its own, but mine. I see you, struggling to reconcile the pain of letting go with the promise of something better, and I do not fault you, but I remind you, what I take, I return in greater form when it has passed through fire. Let this refining continue. Let this surrender grow roots, because only in the soil of death to self can true fruit grow. I am not trying to hurt you, I am trying to awaken you. You've lived long enough feeding your will, yet starving your spirit, but now, I'm drawing you deeper, into a place where your will no longer screams, but listens, where your emotions don't lead, but follow my voice. You will begin to recognize the weight of my purpose within you, not as a burden, but as a birth, a holy stretching, a divine groaning that brings forth life. Yes, it costs everything, but it also gives you more than you imagined. You will see that what I require, I also supply. I do not ask you to obey in your strength, but in mine I do not expect you to carry the cross alone. I walk with you. I uphold you. I breathe into your dry places until they live again. And as the old breaks apart, you will begin to see the new emerging, not from striving, but from resting in me. This is the beginning of your resurrection. You will feel lighter, not because the weight is gone, but because now you are yoked with me, and my yoke is easy. My burden is light. I am not rushing you, but I am drawing you. The time is sacred. The process is holy. Do not despise it. Many want my power without my process. But you, my beloved, are being formed not for applause, but for impact. Not for platform, but for purity. Not for fame, but for faithfulness. I am calling you to obedience without delay, to sacrifice without recognition, to intimacy without performance. And in this secret place, I will do more in you than you could ever accomplish by force. So keep letting me lead. When you feel nothing, keep obeying. When the doors stay shut, keep trusting. When the path feels lonely, keep walking, because I am forming a vessel that can carry glory, not popularity, not influence, but holiness. I will take the pieces of what you surrendered and build something the world cannot explain. This is the beginning of your transformation. You are stepping into maturity, where you no longer need constant signs to believe, where you no longer demand comfort to remain faithful, where you no longer fear the cost because you've tasted the reward. You are being made new, and though the process is slow, it is secure. Though it may be painful, it is pure. Let the breaking continue, not in cruelty, but in compassion, because I am shaping you into someone who does not bend with every wind, but stands firm on the unshakable foundation of truth. This battle is not over, but you are no longer losing because your will is being reformed. Your heart is being recalibrated. Your desires are being purified. And soon your steps will align with mine, not out of fear, but out of love, not out of pressure, but out of knowing that my way is the only way that leads to life. Stay with me. I am not done with you. This is only the middle, and in the middle, I am doing miracles that your eyes have not yet seen. Keep yielding, keep trusting, keep letting go. Beloved, can you feel it? That soft stillness rising within you, where once there was only resistance, that light beginning to break through the shadows, not suddenly, but faithfully, like dawn after a long cold night. You are awakening, not just from confusion, but from the illusion that your will could ever satisfy your soul. You are being reborn not as who you thought you needed to be, but as who I always knew you were. This is resurrection. Not loud, not showy, but sacred, slow and holy. You've laid down your striving. You've released your pride. You've loosened your grip on what never belonged in your hands. And now, your heart is becoming fertile ground for peace to grow again. Not the fragile peace of fleeting feelings, but the unshakable peace that flows from being in step with me. This is the reward of obedience, alignment, wholeness, rest. What you have walked through fire, but it did not consume you. You have faced storms, but they did not drown you, because all along, I was forming you to stand in places your former self could not enter. Now you see it, don't you? I never abandoned you. Even in silence, I was working. Even in I was healing. Even in your surrender, I was building something far greater than what you thought you lost. What you released in tears, I now return in peace. What you sacrificed in faith, I restore with purpose. You are no longer ruled by impulse, but led by my spirit. You do not need signs to believe my goodness. You now walk in it. That is the fruit of formation. That is the gift of submission. You are no longer driven by fear, but anchored in love. Your yes is no longer hesitant, but joyful. Your obedience is no longer a burden, but a holy rhythm in step with me. Do you see how far you've come? This is not weakness, this is wisdom. This is not loss, this is liberation. You are no longer at war within yourself, because your will has bowed before the throne of grace. You've stopped striving to prove your worth. You've stopped chasing what I never called yours. And now, your hands are open, ready to receive what I've kept for you until your heart was ready to carry it, beloved. This is restoration, not a return to what was, but the birth of what was always meant to be. You are not going back. You are going forward with clarity, with authority, with quiet confidence that I am with you. The wounds you once hid are now the very places my glory shines through. What the enemy used to shame you, I now use to speak to others through you. Your pain has become oil, your scars have become stories, your silence has become a song. And now you walk differently, because you no longer walk alone. I am in every step. I am in your stillness. I am in your words, your thoughts, your worship, your decisions. You don't need to manipulate doors open anymore. I open what no man can shut. You don't need to be loud to be heard by heaven. I incline my ear to every whisper of your heart. You don't need to wear masks to be accepted. I know you and I have chosen you. And in this place of surrender, you have found the greatest treasure, not answers, but me, not success, but sonship, not visibility, but intimacy. You now know what peace truly is. It's not the absence of hardship, but the presence of purpose. It's not everything going your way, but you walking my way and trusting me even when you can't see. This peace is not fragile. It is fortified by obedience. It cannot be shaken by circumstance, because it is rooted in the eternal. This is the fruit of dying to your will. You have come alive, and not just alive, but fully awake, to truth, to love, to grace. To me you used to run from my will, afraid it would take too much. Now you run toward it, because you've seen how it gives more than you could ever imagine. You used to ask, what if I lose everything? Now you ask, what if I miss what you prepared for me? Because now you know, no loss is too great if it leads you deeper into my heart. No surrender is too painful if it brings resurrection on the other side. And now, you wear new garments, not of shame, but of strength, not of brokenness, but of beauty born from ashes. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of walking it out in fullness. Not with hesitation, but with boldness. You have been tried, you have been tested, and you have come forth as gold. Not because you were perfect, but because you stayed. Because you trusted me when it cost you comfort. Because you worshipped even when you didn't understand. Because you chose me over your own way. Now the time has come to rise, not in your own strength, but in mine. I am placing upon you assignments that require the maturity I've formed in secret. You no longer need to convince anyone your life will speak. Your obedience will echo. Your surrender will carry the weight of glory. And where there was confusion, there will now be clarity. Where there was wandering, there will now be wisdom. Where there was striving, there will now be stillness. You have learned what many never do, that my purpose is not a punishment, but a gift. That obedience is not restriction, but protection. That my will is not the end of joy, but the beginning of real life. You are ready, not because you have all the answers, but because you finally know where the answers live in me, in my timing, in my word, in my presence. Go now. Not with fear, but with fire. Not with doubt, but with discernment. Not with heavy burdens, but with holy boldness. You carry my spirit. You reflect my image. You speak my word. You walk in my peace. What was once hidden in you will now shine, not for your glory, but for mine. And through you, others will see what surrender can build, what obedience can unlock, and what resurrection truly looks like. You are a testimony, a living altar, a walking miracle, a vessel of honor. And I will continue to lead you, guide you, refine you, and use you because you have chosen the narrow road that leads to life. And as you go, never forget, your yes mattered, your surrender was seen, and your obedience has built something eternal. Now walk in peace, walk in joy, walk in love, because the battle is no longer within you. You have come home to my will, to my purpose, to me.